99X.
Okay, I can rock to this.
The Rock Station.
99X.
The Rock Station 99X. I'm Tommy Gunn. I am on the phone with a man named Matt Price. On December 8th, I was lucky enough to be visiting the great state of Oregon. And in Oregon, recreational use of marijuana is 100% legal. So I sauntered into this store that I found on the internet just because I loved the name. The name of the store was Cannabliss. And I had a most unique experience, so unique that I had to contact the owner and say, man, I need to talk to you to get the word out in Louisiana that this is an amazing thing. So I got in touch with Matt, and he's on the phone with me now. Matt, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Tommy. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Now, let me ask you a first question. How's business?
Business is good. Business is good. My bills are paid.
That's awesome. Now, how did you start Cannabliss? You were first a medical dispensary, yes?
Correct. We opened about 5 years ago. We were one of the first in the state, and we've kind of just rolled with the punches in the legislation. And, now we're selling recreationally.
Now, for the most part, have all of the medical dispensaries in Oregon, or at least around Portland, do they all have a recreational side to them as well?
Most of them do, yes. There were a couple of counties and cities, municipalities, I should say, that decided to not allow recreational sales. So there's a couple within the state that that aren't allowed to do it, but I would probably say about 80% of the state that was medical is now selling recreational as well.
Now, when you started as a medical shop, you had to be licensed, and the people had to have a prescription and all that, just like in any other medical state. Now, but when you switched over to recreational, the laws are a little different, yeah?
Correct. Yeah, the laws are a bit different. Right now, they had to pass some early legislation to allow recreational sales due to the difficulty from the OLCC transferring. No, OLCC is who's in charge of the law here.
Right.
So they were supposed to get some laws enacted to allow recreational sales. They were taking a little bit longer to get it done. So the state enacted a early recreational bill that allowed medical stores to start selling recreationally until the full laws came into effect. So that's kind of what we're sitting on right now, and it's. I think it's gone really well, and it was probably a smart decision on the state's part. It became legal in July, so people were allowed to possess in July, but there were no stores where they could buy it at. So
right.
The state jumped on it and said, well, why don't we just let medical sell to recreational or to recreational users until we get this whole thing figured out, and that's what they did. And it's proved to be pretty successful.
So are there stores now that only sell recreational marijuana?
No, there are not. You have to have a medical license in order to be able to sell recreationally.
Okay. And so when I walked into your store, I met the nice man behind the counter. He took my ID. It's like a bar or buying a bottle of liquor. It's like any other intoxicant, I would like to say. I don't like to use the word drug for marijuana. I like intoxicant.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
All right. So the store is separate. Like I had to go through a separate door to go to the recreational side. And then I noticed on the medical side, because recreational side had just pot to sell and pipes and, papers and whatnot to help you smoke it. But on the medical side, that's where all your edibles and juices and stuff like that were kept. Is in Oregon, you can't recreationally use an edible?
Not currently, no. So with the early legislation, what they viewed as being an easy entry to the market was limiting the sale of cannabis to just flower, and then only allowing 7 gram purchase per every 24 hours. So the edibles and the oils and things like that are only available on the medical side, but those will be available to the recreational consumer as of October of 2016. So it's coming. It's just in a little bit of time. We want to make sure we do it right, and that we're getting our testing procedures in order. And
you're on the forefront of a completely new industry, would you say?
It's fun. It's really fun. From the inside, it doesn't necessarily feel like that. I think it's just like anything else. This is my job, and this is what I do, and it's fun to continue to push forward. But from the outside, yeah, I mean, it's kind of a strange thing. This is my life, and I tell people like, oh yeah, I own recreational, cannabis shops, medical dispensaries, and they the look on some people's faces is like, what? You can do that? And it's like, yeah, absolutely. You didn't know?
Well, the thing that amazed me the most was the price, because in a place where it's not legal, it's a dealer's market. Then they can charge they could charge whatever they want. But I'm assuming, since it's legal there, you not only have to remain marketable, but you have to remain competitive against the other recreational dispensaries. Am I correct?
No, you're absolutely correct. I mean, that's most definitely the case. And you said it best. As when there's a criminal charge that comes with a product, people are gonna jack the price up on that and try to get the best bang for their buck. If they're the ones selling it. When it becomes a legal marketable product that's completely above board, you're able to start getting true business people into the market. You're able to start getting competitive pricing and better marketing and better product and so on and so forth. I've got to consistently stay on the cusp and keep bringing in good product, as opposed to if I was some dealer on the street. I can you can call me and I can give you whatever it is that I have, because that's all there is. Right,
and for whatever price.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
you may want a little bit of green to have your party or whatever, and if it's not in a legal state, you got to call a guy and he may not have any, and he's got to call a guy and they might not have any, so you may be waiting a day, 2-3 days just to get a little something. And meanwhile, in the happy state of Oregon, I could walk to any number of stores and just buy it as if it were a 6-pack of beer.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, one of the things that comes with that, you mentioned, having to call your guy, and, one of the negatives of calling your guy is that you don't know what kind of pesticides have been used on that product. You don't know, what kind of THC values it has. You don't know what kind of effect that cannabis is going to have on you. So obviously there's a misconception that, marijuana is marijuana, that, where there's, multiple different varietals that have, different effects.
Right.
As far as, some making you sleepy and some making you energetic. And,
I was amazed at the selection that you have up there. And it's all really good.
Yeah, the Oregon's been doing this for a while. So, I would love to say that, Oregon probably has the best weed in the country. And, I think that holds pretty true, and all those guys from Colorado and California and everywhere else can balk at me, but I welcome them to come to my state and challenge them.
Have a big smoke off. Now, do you see any negative impact on the medical side now that recreational has been legalized?
That was a big fear that people thought, that there was going to be a negative impact, and in all reality, all allowing medical shops to sell recreational cannabis did was give us a bigger budget to help the people that come into our stores. With recreational coming in, that increases the income. That also increases my ability to buy more products to put on the shelf. It increases the ability to kind of lower the prices on the medical side and take better care of our patients, even more so than we were able to before.
Right.
So there's a lot of benefits to it that people don't see, and the naysayers are always going to be naysayers. It's just kind of the way that some people are. But the truth of the matter is it's helped us significantly on being able to make sure that we're doing a good job by our patients, and even more so than we were before.
Well, one thing that I did notice that I was, well, the whole thing was mind blowing to me. I'll be perfectly honest. I was waiting around the corner to see if somebody was going to jump out and say, "Hey, surprise! We're just kidding." But on the labels now, I have a picture. I'll include it on our website at therockstation99x.com. But I have pictures of the vials that I bought from your store, and on each vial is a label, and it's they have a lab test number where every strain is independently tested and verified at a laboratory. This isn't just some weed that some dude named Earl grew in a ditch. I mean, this is high quality, verified by laboratory marijuana. And one of the things on it was it had a THC level, and then a CDB level. Now, I'm not familiar with a CDB level. What is that?
So a CBD is a cannabinoid. So it's probably one of the best medical properties of cannabis, to be quite frank with you. We've had great success with, strains that are higher in CBDs, helping people with epilepsy and, things of that nature. And it's also been great with people that are going through chemo. CBD is a non-psychoactive compound found in cannabis. So it's more of, THC, higher THC levels are, can get inside your head a little bit and give you that feeling that people call high.
Mm-hmm.
CBDs, things that are in CBDs are more so geared towards, kind of dropping your shoulders, relaxing you. I compare like a CBD strain as, at the end of a long day when you just have that breath that you exhale, you just, and your shoulders kind of drop and the day is over and you just feel a little bit more relaxed. That's kind of the best way that I can explain the way that a CBD kind of makes you feel. It's it's just another component found in cannabis that obviously makes it as a viable wonderful plant.
Right. The CBD, I'm guessing, is the medicine that's within the cannabis itself.
It's cannabinoid. Now, I wouldn't go that far and say it's the medicine within it itself. THC actually with cannabinoids without THC doesn't work quite as well. THC helps very much so with people with stomach issues and things of that nature. And I think one of the big misconceptions that people get with cannabis is that this is this medical person, it's a fluke. They smoke marijuana to get high, and it's like, well, if you are in pain and you go take a Vicodin, it doesn't make you high. If you're not in pain and you take a Vicodin, then it's going to make you high. So the people that are in pain that are smoking cannabis, it has the same effect. If you're in pain and all these things, you smoke cannabis, it's going to make you be able to get through your day and so on and so forth. And THC has a huge factor in making sure that happens with a lot of these different conditions.
Now, here's a question. How do you manage and obtain your inventory? I mean, like we were talking earlier, we have guys in Louisiana. I call a guy, mm-hmm. and I don't know where he gets it. He gets it from his guy. But how does a legal recreational dispensary get their product?
So in order for us to buy product from somebody, they have to be licensed by the state as a grower. So we have a process where we have our days where we have different vendors come in and we look at their product and we check it out and we see their test results and, they kind of show us their wares and we verify that, yes, they are a state resident and, yes, they, have a state issued card that is currently valid and, so on and so forth. And, once we've ticked a couple of the boxes, then we're able to, purchase cannabis from those people. And that's been the way that it's gone. And then now with the new recreational laws going into effect, the way that it's going to work is it's the state is actually issuing just licenses, broad licenses to companies. And so then instead of having said grower come into my shop, I have a representative from Bob's Bud come down and a sales rep come down and show me their product, and I can decide whether I want to purchase or not.
Wow. Now, can you grow your own in Oregon?
You can grow 4 plants as somebody that's 21 and older. If you get your medical card, you're allowed to grow more. You can flower 6, and you can grow a total of 24 with a medical card.
Now, how many dispensaries were around before the legalization of recreational and after? Did it like blow up?
Oh man, it was like an overnight thing. As soon as the vote passed in November, it was like there were a bunch of people just with their finger on their trigger waiting to pull it, and sure enough, they did. They pulled the trigger, and we went as a state of having 50 dispensaries across the whole state to now we're sitting at about 300, I believe.
Well, I know that I was staying in Newburgh, and I drove down from the Portland airport to Newburgh, and I must have passed half a dozen just on 99.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Talking with Matt Price. He's the owner of Cannabliss in the great state of Oregon. Matt, I have one more question to ask of you. What would you say to a state who is either on the fence or who's never moved forward with any marijuana legislation? What would you say to the state of Louisiana about legal, recreational, and medical marijuana?
I would say don't be afraid of it. I would say that, to do your research and, base your own decisions on research that you found and not on decisions, not base your decisions on, prior, smear campaigns and ads about cannabis. This is something that generally does help people. And, it's also something that's significantly safer than alcohol. And as adults, we should be able to decide on what we consume and what we don't. And, just because you're not for it doesn't mean you have to be against it. This is something that's far safer than alcohol, helps a lot of people. The responsible thing would be to not put people in jail and cost lots of money in tax dollars, and, to move forward with legislation and do it responsibly.
See, you hit the nail on the head for me, because I tell people all the time that pot is a lot safer than alcohol, and their only rebuttal is, well, pot is illegal, but yeah, it's illegal, but for all the wrong reasons. But I've smoked pot for a long time, and I have never ever once gotten high and wanted to beat up somebody or go rob a liquor store or anything like that drunk people do.
No, you're absolutely correct. It's cannabis is not an aggressive intoxicant.
No,
it is something that I compare it to to a nice glass of wine. I know people don't like the alcohol comparison because they want to keep it away from that, but you can come home and you can have a nice glass of wine and you can hang out and relax. It's not like you're sitting there and you go smoke a joint and it's like you drink half a fifth of Everclear or something. You're going to go out and terrorize the town.
Right. The most destructive thing I have ever done on marijuana has to do with a bag of chips or perhaps a Twinkie.
Yeah, I definitely think I've cleaned up a few Reese's wrappers off the floor the next morning. I forgot about. So,
well, Matt,
it's a part of it.
You have opened my eyes, because when I was at your store, I was flabbergasted. I thought I was in the land of Oz. It was amazing that I could walk into a store and buy pot on my debit card. It was an insane feeling, and I hope that someday we here in Louisiana can bask in that, just like you guys in Oregon. You're doing it right, man. You're doing it absolutely right.
I really appreciate that, and I hope the best for you guys out there as well. And, hopefully these things will get pushed through and the legislators will realize that this is far more responsible than putting people in jail. Absolutely.
And tax dollars, because I'm sure that Oregon is banking right now.
Oh, buddy, they're about to start banking. They start collecting a 25% tax as of January 1st.
Ooh.
So, and the majority of that money is going to school systems and, rehabilitation programs and other things. So, it's going to be a very positive benefit to the state of Oregon, and probably one of the largest income generators that they've had in, the last 50 years.
Good deal. I'm very excited for you guys, and I'll keep my fingers crossed for us here in Louisiana. Matt Price, right, owner of Cannabliss in Oregon. You can look them up. What's your website address there, Matt?
Cannablisandco.com.
Cannablisandco.com. Check them out. The full interview and a whole bunch of pictures about my experience, and a blog will be written up. You can find that on our website, therockstation99x.com. Thank you so much, Matt, for sitting down and talking with me.
Thank you, Tommy. I really appreciate the call, man, and you're welcome in Oregon anytime you come back.
Oh, trust me, I'm coming back, and I'm coming back to Cannabliss. That is a promise, sir.
Sounds good, buddy.